Purity was a striking woman, born and raised in the city, with beauty that easily caught every eye. Men on the streets could hardly resist stealing glances at her radiant figure and glowing complexion. She loved her body just as much as others admired it, often spending long hours before the mirror, powdering her face, pouting seductively, and smiling at her own reflection. Yet, while she lived in town, her husband Jeremy, a history teacher, stayed in the village school compound. Purity never wanted the rural life. She felt too refined for it. Meanwhile, Jeremy had found companionship in Dorothy, a sweet and polite young woman fresh from college. Dorothy adored him, and her cooking and gentle manner warmed his heart. As she served him chicken stew one evening, Jeremy praised her, feeling the comfort of a woman who cherished him fully, something Purity never offered. The school holiday had arrived, and Jeremy prepared to leave the village for town, where his wife, Purity, lived. The news broke Dorothy's heart. She tried to hide her tears, but they flowed freely as she packed his bag and looked at him with sorrow. "I'll wait for you, darling," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jeremy's chest tightened. He hated to see her cry. He cupped her face gently and wiped away her tears. "Don't cry, my love. It won't be long before I return. Weekends will bring me back to you, just to see your smile again." Dorothy sniffled, nodding through her sadness, her loyalty shining through. "I'll always be here waiting, Jeremy. No one else but you," she vowed. They walked hand in hand to the bus stop, their silence heavy with unspoken emotions, both dreading the inevitable goodbye that loomed closer with each step. At the bus stop, the air felt thick with unspoken pain. Dorothy clung to Jeremy's hand as though letting go would shatter her heart. When the bus finally arrived, Jeremy picked up his suitcase reluctantly, his eyes locked on hers. "Bye, sweetheart. I'll see you when I come back on the weekend," he said, trying to sound strong. Dorothy forced a smile, though her tears betrayed her. "Goodbye, darling." "I'll always wait for you," she whispered, her voice breaking. Jeremy boarded the bus quickly, choosing a window seat. As the bus pulled away, he waved, his hand lingering in the air until Dorothy was a small figure in the distance. She waved back, smiling through her sorrow. Suddenly, to his surprise, a hot tear rolled down Jeremy's cheek. He grabbed his handkerchief, embarrassed, but the truth was undeniable. He had left a piece of his heart behind. Back in town, Jeremy resumed his role as the obedient husband, masking the turmoil in his heart. Purity, ever absorbed in her beauty and self-indulgence, hardly noticed his silent struggles. Nights became a battlefield. Whenever Jeremy reached out to her, yearning for the warmth of his wife, she turned away with excuses. "Not tonight, Jeremy. I'm tired. Tomorrow." But tomorrow never came. Jeremy pleaded, his voice heavy with frustration and need. "A man cannot live without love, Purity. Sex is like food. It keeps us alive." Still, she dismissed him coldly, rolling over to face the wall. "Just sleep, you bore me," she snapped, leaving him in bitter silence. In the darkness, Jeremy stared at the ceiling, his heart aching. He longed for the tenderness Dorothy gave so freely, while beside him, his wife drifted into slumber, without a care for his breaking spirit. The storm finally broke when Purity received a shocking video on her phone, Jeremy with another woman. The image of Dorothy, beautiful and youthful, smiling as she hung clothes, was undeniable. Rage burned inside her as she confronted Jeremy in the living room. "Who is this girl?" she demanded, her eyes blazing as she thrust the phone at him. Jeremy stammered, "I don't know her," his voice trembling with guilt. Purity's fury spilled out in bitter words. "You cheat on me, Jeremy? After everything? Fine. I'll get a man of my own, and we'll compare notes in the evening." Her voice cracked with both anger and hurt. Jeremy's pleas for calm fell on deaf ears. "I'm loyal, Purity. Don't do this," he begged, but she sneered, flaunting her figure before him. "Look at me. Do you think I can't replace you? You'll regret this." Consumed by rage and betrayal, Purity packed her bags and traveled to the village to seek counsel from her family. Sitting in her mother's living room, tears welled in her eyes as she played the incriminating video of Jeremy and Dorothy. Her mother shook her head sorrowfully. We cannot beat your husband, my daughter. It is an abomination, she said softly, but Edwin, Purity's younger brother, was furious. His fists clenched tightly. No! We can't let Jeremy get away with this. We must catch him red-handed. Let's ambush him in bed with that girl. He must be humiliated. Purity nodded in agreement, her eyes flashing with determination. But Mama Purity refused. I will not go. In our culture, it is a taboo to see the nakedness of a son-in-law. Edwin dismissed her reluctance. Stay behind, Mama. I'll go with Purity. Jeremy must face me. Meanwhile, unaware of the storm brewing, Jeremy and Dorothy basked in the warmth of a lazy Saturday afternoon. The room was filled with laughter and soft whispers as they lay together, lost in each other's embrace. Jeremy stroked her forehead tenderly. Darling, you are always good to me. You make me feel wanted, he murmured, his voice thick with affection. Dorothy smiled shyly, her eyes glowing with love. Why wouldn't I? I love you with all my heart. When I'm with you, it feels like the world disappears. Just you and me, nothing else matters. Jeremy's chest swelled with contentment. We were meant for each other, he said firmly, two souls cut from the same cloth. Dorothy giggled, wrapping her arms tighter around him, sealing their forbidden bond. In that stolen moment, they believed nothing could break their happiness, unaware Purity and Edwin were drawing near. Dark clouds hung in the sky as Purity and Edwin stepped off the bus, their faces grim and determined. They walked in silence, each step heavy with anger, until they reached the school compound. Purity, her hands trembling but resolute, unlocked the gate with a spare key. Together they marched to Jeremy's quarters, their hearts pounding with fury. Inside, Jeremy and Dorothy lay tangled in the bliss of their secret love. Suddenly, the door burst open. Purity and Edwin stormed in like a hurricane. Dorothy leapt from the bed, naked and terrified, fumbling for her dress. Jeremy froze, paralyzed, his guilt written all over his face. Purity's voice cracked as she cried out, "Jeremy! Why do this to me?" Dorothy sobbed, pleading, "I didn't know he was married. Please forgive me." But Jeremy, shocking everyone, rose and declared, "Dorothy is my wife now. It's over, Purity." The fallout was bitter and raw. Back in the village living room, Jeremy sat stiffly across from Purity, her eyes swollen from endless tears. Mama Purity watched in sorrow while Edwin glared, ready to explode. Silence hung thick until Mama Purity finally asked, "My son-in-law, why have you done this to my daughter?" Jeremy leaned forward, his face hardened. "Because Purity only thinks of herself. She spends all her time admiring her body, neglecting me. What is a man to do when his wife constantly refuses him? I am a normal man with needs." His words struck Purity like a blade. "You call me boring because I won't give in when I'm not in the mood?" she shot back angrily. Jeremy sneered, pointing at her. "That's exactly who you are, cold and selfish. I don't want you in my life anymore. It's finished, Purity. We're done." Purity broke down, collapsing to her knees, her sobs echoing through the room. All her pride, all her vanity, had crumbled into dust. Dorothy stood quietly in a corner, clutching her dress, still shaken, but chosen over the lawful wife. Mama Purity shook her head in despair, her heart heavy with shame. Edwin clenched his fists, but held his silence, realizing the battle was already lost. Jeremy sat tall, his decision firm, his eyes cold as stone. "It's over," he repeated, sealing the fate of his marriage. The family had no more words to offer, only silence, broken hearts, and unhealed wounds. In that moment, the reality became clear. Vanity had cost Purity her marriage, and Jeremy's hunger for affection had led him into another woman's arms. In the timeless dance between man and woman, love, lust, and betrayal had written yet another tragic ending.